Well, we've done this before, so we'll do it again. Dropping the coolant out of a TDI without getting it all over the floor is quite easy if you use a syringe. So what we're going to do is just simply empty the expansion tank like this. This one doesn't lock, but we'll put it into a bucket. Strange stuff, I've never seen purple coolant before. I wonder if it's some special stuff. I don't know. Mind you, I think it came from Italy, so it could be red wine. So I'll drain that and I'll come to the next bit. The next bit is take this, where it says this plug must not be removed when engine is hot, then you can take it out. It's 13/16 spanner, for which I find these old British spark plug spanners are an absolute perfect thing because they fit nice and snug around there. Then we'll do the same thing again. We'll take the coolant out until we get halfway down, because halfway down the radiator there's a stop, but at least we can get the hoses off, to get the fan off, to get everything else off. And then we can get to the bottom hose and just drop it into a bucket. Easy, isn't it? Well, it says so in the book, it's easy. It's going to be a nice little project, this. Like I said, the brake fluid doesn't go that clean. We'll drain that. Let's have a quick shift in. Right. It's black. Right. Yeah, it's been well looked after, this car. I pulled out the air cleaner and it's got a new fuel pump on it. Unfortunately, we've put a Delphi one on, which has got the little screw off cap with the filter in it, so we can check out if there's any dirt in it. We've got to change the fuel filter as well, but the lift pump pumps diesel straight from the tank, so if there's any muck getting up, it'll get into the fuel filter straight at first. The original Land Rover didn't have a filter in it. Mind you, they were crap, weren't they? Right. Right, you see we're getting towards the end now. You do still a little bit, but I made actually a pump once, but I put it down somewhere, I can't find it, a little electric pump. And just pump it all out, that was a lot better. Might have been one of the other gizmos that I'll lent out to somebody. Right, so that's that done. Friendly. Right, so what we're going to do next, we're going to take off the top hose. We're going to take the turbo hose off. What else are we going to take off? We're going to take off this expansion hose here, you know, for the goes to the expansion tank. The hose off the top of the radiator here. Just be careful if you've got an aluminium cord radiator. This is a brass one. Be very careful taking these pipes off, they can snap. Nasty. Once we've got that pipe off, we can undo the fan, and then we can take off the cowling. And then, with a bit of luck, we can get to the bottom radiator hose, drop off our last of our coolant. The hose is off the oil cooler, which looks like they've been replaced recently, so that's good. And pull this radiator out, and then we can see the whole front of the car. Sometimes, I have known people just take off the fan and try and get this timing belt off and do a really quick job, but I've got to take the coolant out anyway, so. And it gives me a chance to check everything else, and if you're doing a 300 DDI, it's a good idea to change the P gasket regardless, because they do go in, you never know what's in them. It might be a metal one, it might be a paper one. I think I've got a paper one kicking around here somewhere. I'll dig it out. I'll see if I can find it. Well, you can see down here I've got the grill and the fan off. That came off really easy. Now what I usually do, you see the hose that goes to your expansion bottle, Well, I usually take that clip off now there's no water in it. But you see, somebody's had this off before and put the clip on before they put the bottle. So that's going to be a little bit of a tricky one to get out. So I don't know what to do there, but I can get that screw off. I've already got that clamp off, I mean. Yeah, there's a bit to take off yet, you know, to get this P, to get to the P gasket and the belt. But it looks like this has had the head off it before, because somebody's marked up the bolts. That's not unusual, as Tom Jones said. And this little indicator here usually means it's had the uprated kit on it, that little notch on the gasket. And it does look to me, being a layman, that if you look on the end of here, there's a little painted mark, and that patina on that cover doesn't match the housing. So I wonder if somebody's changed all this housing at some time. We shall never know. But we've still got a fair bit to take off, and this is one of the reasons why we're taking the radiator out, because sometimes somebody's rattled up these bolts here to get the power steering pump off, and they can be kind of tight. But we need to take this hose off, but I need to take that fiendish screw out of there. I wonder how I'm going to do that. Right, I've got the oil pipes off, and underneath that, when you take those off, you need a big drip tray to catch all the oil that comes out, because it drops on the chassis and goes that way, this way, except in the bucket. So that's that off. The pipes are off. I've taken the whole intercooler pipe off to give us lots of room. Fortunately enough, because it's come from a nice climate, there's no rusty nuts and bolts to deal with. So that's good. I just noticed too that it's had a recent Gates belt on it, serpentine belt, so that looks in good condition, so we're not going to replace that. So all we need to do now is lift out this radiator assembly and put it somewhere we can trip over it. Most important. Now you see, look at all that wonderful access we've got. We can go in from this way, you know, all sorts of things. So the first thing we're going to do is undo the crank pulley bolt, because it might be tight. There's a trick to taking them off by just putting a socket on the bar and spinning the engine, but I'm going to put it on my impact gun and see if the impact gun will shift it. We have two types of nuts on these. Right, let's have a go. Hey, look at that. The problem is with a lot of people, when they put TDI belts on, they blather them with the Loctite. Well, that's not too bad on the thread here, but you should never put Loctite on the pulley itself. That's not recommended. Yeah, there was two different types of bolts fitted to these engines, 30mm and something else. Now, we can get real good access and do 1,001 jobs at the same time, because I'm going to change the power steering fluid in here as much as I can, clean it out, but that means I can get to the pipe and drain the reservoir off and drain the pump out. I'll still have some in the steering box, but I'll just flush it through a few times. So now we'll take off the belt. We need a 15mm key on there. Get that off, get this pulley off, get these pulleys off, out the way, because like I say, we need to take this housing off and the front cover. We need to strip it all down. So these are 10s, 15s, 15s, 10s. Yeah, that's all you need really. Where's my sockets gone? So I've got the pulleys off. Why do you have to take the pulleys off, mate? Because you've got to get those very long bolts out with those three nasty ones, and you can't get at it to pull that cover off. Also, we've got to take off the bolts that holds the power steering pump on, so we can get some access to some bolts underneath. We've got to take the alternator off. Well, you don't really, but it makes life easier. There's a nut under here, and then that front cover will come off. I've got to take this top hose off. I forgot about that one. The pulley is beautiful. That's really nice. Oh, I wonder if this front cover will come off. Wait a minute, you need a bar. Bar. Might have to put the puller onto that, but first of all, if we do, We'll put some penetrating oil on that. Sometimes working them backwards and forwards, they will come off. You don't want to pry too much and break the casing. There isn't that many places to pry on. Try to pry off the bolt heads if you can. Now we can see the back of the shaft. Might just keep rocking it backwards and forwards. See? That is good. Well, we can do one or two things. I think we can take off the timing cover first. Now, I saw that casing spring out there. I don't know if you caught it. It sprang out. That means it hasn't got the little paper washer behind there. We've got a gasket on here, but we're supposed to have a little round disc in there to stop that compressing. Right, let's see what we've got. This is where all the bolts fall on the floor by now. Just got to try and get it off those dowels. I think I've done it before, haven't I? Bang! Anyway, I've got most of them. I've only lost two. Ooh. Bit of dust. Dust. Come and have a look what I can see. So there was a modification to these belts, as a lot of you know, whereas this one here used to have, it was plastic with guide rollers on. On the later 300 TDI they did away with that and they did two rollers like this with no guides on, but they put the guides at the bottom. However, in this case, this is the old-fashioned type of crank with the new-fashioned rollers. And what's happening is the belt's riding forward, look. You see? Oh. Yeah, and also what they've done is they've put this bit in here with the washer off the old style. That washer is supposed to go, well, it's not even supposed to have that. It's supposed to be a stud on there and an Allen bolt on here. Oh, well, I'm glad we changed that then. Otherwise, not too bad. Now we're going to obviously put the crank bolt in and turn this engine to get round to its firing stroke. We'll show you that in a minute. But first, let's have a closer look at here what we're taking off. We're trying to get to the P gasket, which is behind here. So there's the bolt there, nut there to take off, 13mm, 10, 10, 10. Don't have to take all that off, leave that bit. Take this bracket off, you can drop this out of the way. Then there's a bolt there and there's a bolt just behind here. That's why we have to take off the front. Does that make sense? Answers on the postcard, please.